Goki Genyo homies, Wade Willis here to break down episode 8 of Higurashi Sotsu. All of us have really been waiting for the moment that we got yesterday. And that is, so she is no longer a human, she has become a witch. All of us that are fans of Umineko have been waiting for Satoko to basically be acknowledged as a witch. We've noticed things here and there. There's the little certainty, little Easter eggs in there in her speech, and now we finally got it. And I'm not gonna go into plot of Umineko at all. So if you haven't read Umineko yet, which you should totally check out my playthrough of Umineko that's on my channel. I have 40 videos of it, so definitely check that out if you haven't gotten into Umineko yet. Yeah, this was the big reveal of tying in the witches to Higurashi. And I know in Higurashi Rei, I believe it was Rika who referred to herself as the witch Bernkastel. If I'm remembering that partially wrong, but I believe that's the only reference in the anime that we have seen. I'm sure in the visual novel there were probably some other ones, and we kind of knew certain characters were technically, I guess, witches, but the term witch, to my knowledge, has not really been used in Higurashi. It's a very Umineko thing, which makes me super pumped up because I'm to the fourth episode of Umineko in the visual novel, and I am loving it so far. So this was great news for me. And yeah, guys, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for tons of anime reactions and review videos. I have all my When They Cry content. I'm doing a reaction series to Madoka Magica right now, and then I'm going to be doing Death Parade after that. So be on the lookout for that, along with seasonal anime as well. And yeah, overall for this episode, I would give it an 8. I liked the episode overall. I thought it was pretty good. I think the information that we learned, especially at the end, and just having that big reveal, really dialed up my score for the episode a lot more. Parts of it were repetitive, which I do understand. For those people who haven't seen different parts of Higurashi, you kind of need to have it. And it did help kind of put things in perspective. And there's a few of you in my comments that are kind of with me on this for my reaction videos. I'm with you guys. Every time there's rehashing of other things or kind of replaying things that have already happened, I'm like, dude, we do not have this many episodes left. Now, especially with this witch bombshell, this past episode, I think that we are getting, at the very least, another season of Higurashi. Maybe we'll just get another... I do think we're going to have an in-between Higurashi Umineko show that will be coming out after this season of Sotsu, which hopefully will lead to an actual good anime adaptation of Umineko. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that since that is so long and in-depth. And guys, I will be going in very in-depth into my theories and some of your guys' theories in the latter part of this video. So be ready for that. I'm just going to kind of break down a little bit some things that I thought were kind of important in this episode. And one of the biggest things was that really struck with me was, and you guys know I've been calling Satoko kind of the puppet master. Just seeing her acting and acting abused to good guy Teppei now, acting like the people in her class are abusing her, her rolling around in the mud and getting all dirty and stuff to pretend she was getting bullied. I mean, Satoko's acting is absolutely fantastic. I love the voice actor. I loved the witch's laugh while she was rolling around in the mud. But just seeing her do that to get Teppei to kind of basically do her bidding, and we see how he's responding and how frustrated he's getting, seeing that she's getting bullied according to her, and he's ready to lose it, which makes sense as to why there was that showdown with Keiichi and Teppei at the end of this arc. Especially when we see that Teppei is changing, and you're like, how the hell is he going to fight Keiichi? Was he going to get injected with something? Looks like no. He's just going to hate everyone in the town and all the people at the school, and be willing to bash some skulls to save Satoko, or think he's saving her. So this has really shed light on that, and we kind of saw why he flipped the hell out on Chia Sensei, because he thought that the teacher was also picking on her. So Satoko pulling at those heartstrings. Then she's pulling at the heartstrings of the students, her peers, and her teacher, acting like she's getting beat up by Teppei. Just doing an amazing job at that. Real master of puppets shit in this episode by Satoko. Now this is where I'm going to go into the theories portion. And obviously, guys, I'm not going to spoil like Umineko. I've said that. But it appears like, okay, one, we know that it looks like Satoko's a witch. And really, I'm going to get into my theory on her humanity a little bit later. But yeah, we've seen this. People that have like read Umineko kind of have seen the similarities between her and the character Lambda Delta. Now, is she going to end up being Lambda Delta by the end of Sots? I think there's a good chance, but Ryukishi, he might just mess with us and have her basically be Lambda Delta, but not have that name. Kind of like how Ayua looks exactly like Feathering, and is called Ayua, which I believe that name Ayua is actually from the newest visual novel that I have not even dipped my toes into. But yeah, I'm going to eventually get to that, but I got to finish Umineko first. But Umineko fans were like, oh, it's Feathering, and literally looks like Feathering, has the same like sash, like looks exactly like her, but we're calling her Ayua. So we could have something like that where they just maybe change her name from Satoko to something else, but she's basically Lambda Delta, or maybe they give her some name that is a like basically means Lambda Delta, but in a different language or something. I could see something like that as well. And that scene where Ayua like says that Toko's like turned into a witch. She no longer gets like pleasure from like normal human things. Like she gets it from the pieces on the board, which again, Umineko reference. And that scene really, some of the first 20 minutes of the episode were like, they were pretty good, and there were some kind of important things in there, but that last scene was, I mean, really the meat and potatoes of the episode. There's so much going on. You get that she's referred to as a witch, that she's like, Ayua is saying that she's basically lost her humanity. Satoko the human's like not there anymore. You have Satoko's eyes just turning red in front of everyone. Her projectile vomiting like she did in episode 10 of the original Higurashi, having that nervous breakdown from Keiichi when he's going to reach and touch onto her head. So all of that stuff really happens in the span of like 2 minutes. And it's so much to take in. And Angela reached out to me on Instagram, and she gave me so much evidence for her theory, which like I did not really even think of, and I had seen some other people in the comments mention it, but she gave me some serious evidence to kind of support that whole scene. And even back in episode 7, there's evidence that Satoko is kind of that she is dealing with regret and regretting going through this whole loop fiasco with Ayua, and kind of just she's trapped in it. So Rika's trapped, Satoko's trapped. I said that in the last episode that Satoko is also trapped in this shitstorm. Angela pointed out in episode 7 of Sots, you can kind of see the way in the beginning of the episode in the fragment world that Satoko is. It looks like there is like a sort of regret in her face, and she's kind of looking away from Ayua. And then that's the moment where Ayua kind of like sticks out her staff and is like, yo, girl, you have to die after Rika, or else I'm sending you into a fragment world that's an absolute diarrhea sandwich. Rika's like, yeah, Satoka's like, yeah, I know, and we see all of that. Angela also pointed out at the end of episode 7, when Satoko is walking back to her house after she gets Teppei to like move back in with her, and she sees Rika waiting there for her. Now we see that she changes her face into a smile, like the evil smile, like, oh, this is all going according to plan. But right before that, you see that her face looks kind of like surprised, and it was very subtle, and I think done on purpose. And I thought this was, I didn't really notice this the first time. And um, Angela had said that she thought, yeah, this is like Satoko, like, oh my gosh, like I seriously love Rika, and like she's so caring for me, and this is like the thing I love about her. And then she flips back into like witch mode. Um, and I have to say, I kind of agree with that. I if you notice, if you watch the end that scene over again, that subtle changing of the faces is seems kind of important. And then in this episode, when Stoko's like crying and saying she doesn't want this, like I'm sorry, like all that stuff, she sees it as her kind of apologizing to her friends, and she's kind of like looking back at her friends and stuff, um, which I like. I really get that viewpoint. It kind of makes sense because it is a bit different than episode 10 of the original Higurashi. I guess I'm so jaded on like Satoko and like all her actions. I just see her. I've been seeing her as like kind of like just evil and a bad person at this point. And I understand all the bad things that happen in her life, but none of that justifies what she's doing now. And I just wasn't really looking for things like that. Um, and like for me, like I saw that scene and I was like, oh, she's just trying to reenact what happened. Because if you guys remember from, I believe I can't remember the name of the episode, but it is number 10, and they do it in the beginning of 11 in the original Higurashi. She keeps saying, go Menasai, go Menasai, like saying, I'm sorry over and over again. And she is kind of looking back and throws up too. So when I saw this scene, I thought that she was like acting, like doing the things to make it look like she's going through the same trauma and stuff that she went before with Teppei. That's how I was seeing it. I think it is really important that Satoko's eyes did turn red, and like it was right in front of Rika. And I feel like there's no way with how observant Rika is that she's not going to notice that. And there's been a few scenes that Angela also pointed out that you could see like Rika's face looks like someone who's suspicious of Satoko. And last week I actually pointed out like the whole monologue where Satoko's like saying that um, Oyashiro is like punishing her and all that. It was not something that Satoko would like ever say, in my opinion. And I think Rika would have been very suspicious of her after she went through that weird monologue. And I think with her seeing the red eyes and some of the other stuff Angela has pointed out, like I really do think that Rika really is having enough evidence to kind of support being suspicious of Satoko at this point. Now, what I actually think like the significance of this scene is, and like if you guys watch any like interviews of Ryukishi and stuff, like sometimes he has like really deep stuff, like just in a simple scene that is like there's a huge significance for him, or it has like some type of metaphor for something else. And like for me, this scene like represented basically the death of her humanity. So we see, like I was looking at it like maybe after, especially after Angela told me this stuff, I was like, okay, maybe the her crying out it could be partially to her friends, like when she's like, I don't want this. But to me, that's like her humanity like dying, and the like birth of her as the witch completely. Now, um, Angela had said, and I've seen a few people saying that her puking was like a result of her good side, like fighting the witch's side, and that was like her natural reaction. I feel like there could be another explanation to it. One, you could have that she's just going through and like is able to make herself throw up. She's able to loop and do like crazy magical things. Her being able to like force herself to vomit from uh, is not like out of the realm of possibilities in my opinion. So it's some people could just normal people can do that in our normal society. So the fact that some girl who has like kind of magical powers and is a witch, like I feel like she could also force herself to throw up if she wanted to. That's just me. But the red eyes to me is like so interesting because it could like it's supposed to kind of mean like the witch side of her is like coming out and stuff, and we've even seen it in Rika in Go. We saw like her eyes going red in certain parts, and to me that's like the Burn Costello part of her coming out. But a lot of times like that I've seen where the like red eyes have changed are kind of when like someone like Satoko or Rika, like a witch, is like possibly reflecting on something that has happened in other loops. I could be wrong, but I feel like it could be because it almost looks like a weird computer processing system. And I know this is a weird way to look at it, and some of you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but like to me, I feel like when I've been seeing their eyes turn red, I feel like their consciousness is going into the fragment world, and they're kind of like going through these fragments and processing things in like a place that like time isn't real. So like I'm kind of seeing, okay, her eyes turned red. Oh, she's getting a flashback of what happened last time. Oh, I threw up. I'm gonna need to throw up here, or like this is what this person's gonna do here. Like I feel like it's representing them going into the fragment world, which again is a witch ability. Um, but I don't know. I haven't heard anyone ever say that, and that's just something I've like come up with myself. So I don't know what you guys think of that. Let me know about that part in particular, but I think that would kind of make sense that it's representing them kind of processing things. But I do think the throwing up as her fighting against the witch side of her is kind of cool too. I do like the idea of that. But I do think it would be kind of cool with the it being her consciousness going back and forth between worlds as well. Um, but yeah, overall, I've been loving Soat so far. Sorry if this video is like kind of all over the place, but like I've had so many thoughts on all the things, and like a lot of you guys have given good theories, and like thank you to Angela for giving me like evidence on her theory, and honestly making me think that that is a very viable theory, even though I don't know if I necessarily believe it. I would not be shocked at all if that was true. And really it could kind of be true along with my some of my theories as well too. So they don't necessarily eliminate each other. But if you guys have any other theories or ideas, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you guys thought about the episode in the comments below.